Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight, and not just any change, but a simple, worn-looking 1945 wheat penny that most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the ground, because here's the shocking truth that's about to flip your entire understanding of money upside down. This tiny copper coin from the final year of World War II has been known to reach jaw-dropping values of up to $60,000 in rare conditions, and yet thousands of people still unknowingly spend it like it's worth nothing more than a single cent. Now pause for a second and imagine how many coins you've handled without checking carefully, because by the end of this video, you might never look at pocket change the same way again. And trust me, if you think this coin is impressive, wait until you see what's coming next, because the next coins we're covering will push your expectations even further. But for now, let's dive deep into the mysterious and surprisingly valuable world of the 1945 wheat penny, a coin that was born during one of the most intense periods in human history when the United States was still heavily involved in World War II, and resources were stretched thin, which makes every coin from this era a piece of living history. Minted in Denver as indicated by the small D mint mark beneath the date, millions of these pennies were produced. But here's where things get interesting: not all of them are created equal. Because while most 1945 pennies are common, a select few stand out due to rare minting errors, exceptional preservation, or unique characteristics that collectors are absolutely obsessed with. And this is where the real treasure hunt begins, because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a 5-figure payday often comes down to tiny details that most people completely overlook, like doubling on the lettering, subtle shifts in the die during minting, or even the color and luster of the coin itself. And yes, there are documented cases where collectors have paid tens of thousands of dollars for a single 1945 wheat penny that meets the right criteria, especially those graded in near-perfect condition, known as mint state grades, where the coin looks almost untouched despite being over 75 years old. And this is where the story gets even crazier, because during wartime, the U.S. Mint faced material shortages and production pressures that sometimes led to inconsistencies, meaning that a few coins slipped through with unusual features, and those mistakes are exactly what collectors are hunting today. Think about it: a tiny flaw at the mint decades ago could now be the reason someone becomes unexpectedly wealthy. And what's even more fascinating is how these coins continue to surface in the most random places: old jars, forgotten drawers, inherited collections, or even loose change from a grocery store. And every time one of these coins is discovered, it reignites the excitement and mystery surrounding them, because it proves that these hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be found. And you might be wondering what exactly makes one of these pennies worth thousands while another is basically worthless, and it comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and demand. Collectors are willing to pay huge amounts for coins that are both rare and visually appealing, especially those with strong details, minimal wear, and that rich reddish copper color known as red condition, which is extremely hard to find after so many decades. And when you combine that with a rare mint error or a low surviving population in high grade, you've got a recipe for a coin that can command serious money at auctions. In fact, there have been intense bidding wars over coins just like this, where collectors compete fiercely to add a pristine 1945 wheat penny to their collection, driving prices higher and higher. And this is exactly why experts always recommend checking your coins carefully, because the value isn't always obvious at first glance. And here's something that most people don't realize: even circulated coins can still hold value if they have unique characteristics. So don't just assume that a worn coin is worthless, because sometimes those are the ones with the most interesting stories and hidden features. And as you're listening to this, I want you to start thinking about where your old coins might be right now. Maybe there's a jar sitting in your kitchen, or a box tucked away in storage, because believe it or not, discoveries like this happen all the time, and the people who find them are usually just ordinary individuals who decided to take a closer look. And that's the whole magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into potential treasures. And speaking of treasures, you definitely want to stick around, because the next coin we're about to explore takes things to a whole new level, with a story and rarity that will genuinely surprise you, and I'm not even going to hint at its value yet. Because where's the fun in that? Just know that if the 1945 Wheat Penny already has you thinking differently about your spare change, the next coin will have you double-checking every single coin you own. But before we move on, take a moment to really appreciate what this coin represents. It's not just a piece of copper, it's a snapshot of history, a symbol of resilience during wartime, and for a lucky few, a gateway to unexpected wealth. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1951 Wheat Penny. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, and that's not even an exaggeration when you understand the hidden potential behind a simple 1951 Wheat Penny. Because while it may look like just another old copper coin from mid-century America, there are rare versions of this exact penny that have stunned collectors and quietly climbed toward astonishing values, estimated as high as $70,000 under the right conditions. And here's the wild part: many of these coins are still floating around in everyday circulation, sitting unnoticed in collections, jars, or even mixed into loose change, meaning someone out there could be holding a small fortune without having the slightest clue. Now, before you brush this off as hype, you need to understand what makes this coin so special, because the story behind the 1951 Wheat Penny is not just about age. It's about rarity within abundance, and that's where things get seriously interesting. Minted in Denver during a time when the United States was transitioning out of the post-war boom, millions of these pennies were produced. But as always in the world of coin collecting, it's never about how many were made, it's about how many survived in exceptional condition or with unique features. And that's where the treasure hunt begins. Because a small number of these coins were struck with subtle minting errors that went completely unnoticed at the time. Things like double dies where the lettering appears slightly duplicated, off-center strikes that give the coin an unusual appearance, or die cracks that create raised lines across the surface. And while most people would see these as flaws, collectors see them as golden opportunities, because these imperfections are exactly what makes certain coins incredibly valuable. And if you're paying attention right now, this is your moment to start thinking differently about every coin you come across, because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing discovery often comes down to details that are easy to miss. And here's something that adds another layer of intrigue: the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value, especially when it comes to something known as red designation, which refers to coins that have their original bright copper color without fading into brown over time. And finding a 1951 Wheat Penny in full red condition is like finding a time capsule, because it means the coin has been preserved almost perfectly for decades, and collectors are willing to pay serious money for that level of preservation, especially when combined with sharp details and minimal wear. And this is where auctions start to get intense, because when a high-grade example of this coin appears, collectors don't hold back. They bid aggressively, sometimes driving the price far beyond expectations, all for the chance to own one of the finest known examples. And what makes this even more Exciting is the fact that new discoveries are still happening. People are still finding these coins in old collections or inherited boxes, and every time it happens, it sends a ripple through the collecting community, reminding everyone that these treasures are still out there, waiting to be uncovered. And as you're listening to this, I want you to keep one thing in mind: the coins you already own might be more valuable than you think. And if you're not checking them closely, you could be missing out on something incredible. And don't forget, we're not even at the end yet, because what's coming next is even more shocking: a coin with a story that pushes the boundaries of what most people believe is possible in the world of coin collecting. And I'm not going to reveal its value just yet because the suspense is part of the journey, but trust me, you're going to want to see it. So stick with me, stay curious, and keep that mindset of discovery alive. Because the next coin might just change everything you thought you knew about pocket change. And if you thought the 1951 Wheat Penny was impressive, the next coin is on a completely different level.